Hey, I just wanted to give a trigger warning because on today's episode, we touch on the subject of suicide and other sensitive topics. So we wanted to give our listeners and viewers a little warning in advance that some of the stuff is sensitive to listen to. Thanks. Welcome to Broad Ideas.
Thanks.
You are so welcome.
Yeah.
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 Amelia Hartford is here with us today. She's an actor, race car driver, a custom car builder too. I'm sorry. I think that's so badass. Like when she got here, Olivia.
You had her look at your car. You had her do some tune-ups. You had her fix some piping.
No, she did help. I had a flood in my
know.
kitchen bathroom and she did help me with the outside water system. I'm not going to lie. But Olivia came in here when she got here and was like, dude, she just backed her car in to the spot. And I was like, But like, she's like, no. But like the way she did it, Olivia does not back in cars for what it's worth.
I
And
don't.
Like, but I can imagine the way she did it was impressive. I would be impressed by it too. But just the fact that Olivia was like, she fucking backed her car in.
It was impressive because she pulls up and then you can hear the car coming and you're just like, okay. And then she like zooms in and is just like, whap, bam, backs it up in a way that you're like, that was super swaggy.
Yeah. No, I've
never done anything like that in my life.
No,
I've never
really?
backed a car up.
I don't think you've ever backed a car up or in.
You shouldn't even be driving.
Let me ask you, are you a backer inner or a head inner?
I'm backed in right now.
I like to back in sometimes.
Yeah, it's easier to get out of your driveway.
There's certain driveways that I back in.
You're a masculine driver. I know we're not supposed to use sexes because that's sexist, but you're a masculine driver. You drive like a dude.
Is that a compliment or is that scary?
I'm attracted to guys. So when you drive, let me tell you.
Okay. Should we welcome her?
Yeah,
okay.
But she's waiting outside. So
Yeah,
let's bring her
she's
in.
backing the car in. All right. Welcome, Amelia. So I walked into you guys already talking and I'd like you to continue because I feel like it's a conversation I need to be a part of. As I walked in, the first words I heard were crooked toe and I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, we were talking about getting comfy, taking shoes off and letting the dogs out or not. And I always wear socks or I try to crop my feet out of photos because I didn't realize that I had, one, there's such a world of like feet out there.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
But two, I knew I had like a little crooked toe. I just didn't realize it was like really crooked until I posted a photo and like these open-toed heels.
And people were commenting?
Oh, big time.
Isn't it
It's a new insecurity for me.
Well, people
Great,
love
like,
to point
thanks,
out. Yeah,
right?
thank
Yeah,
you for
right.
that. But there is a thing called Wiki Feet.
I've heard of this. And
Okay. Have
you looked?
Feet Finder, I think, is another one.
Feet Finder, and where there's pictures of all of your feet. They're rated.
My feet are up there. I feel like we're just sending people are now going to look up our feet on Feet Finder and these wiki.
We've
feet.
really just dug a hole for ourselves because now
I
people are going to
know.
be staring at our feet. But also, don't you find it weird that people feel the freedom to just comment on anything?
Someone else's body.
Yeah. And also it's like feet.
I know.
It's not something that you can do anything about.
I know.
You know, it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, she didn't brush her hair today. It's like your toe's crooked. Like, yeah.
Your toes.
Yeah,
I was
my
born
option
that
is
way.
to like surgically fix my. I'm not going to do that. Like,
No. And it's also
Surgically
feet aren't
I like how
supposed
this
to
is
be
where my
attractive.
mind went after several comments on that post.
But you're like, what the hell? I just don't. It's not very nice, and people love
No.
to make negative comments, and I
Yeah.
think it's messed up. And then your mind is like, do I get surgery on my toe?
Yeah, but
and
it's
like,
like,
no.
yeah,
Like, of course
stop
you're not
going
gonna
down that rabbit hole.
But of course now you're like, can I see your toe? Like, that's like my
But do you
thought.
think
It's like,
there's-
Off
Yeah.
camera, you guys can see my feet afterwards.
I'm like, how crooked is it?
This is like turning some people on, just so you know. She's like,
do.
off camera, you can see my
But
feet.
people
No.
do have foot fetishes.
No
It's a
kidding.
thing.
You can make a killing on OnlyFans.
With feet?
With feet.
It's a thing.
I bet you there's a thing
Yes.
for crooked toes.
Oh, yeah. You.
No.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like people are like, just the way that it angles and can get in places.
If-
I don't know. I'm
If
just
I
saying.
started an OnlyFans for my toes, I feel like people would recognize my feet. And then it'd be a thing. And I don't think I
can't
can
wait to
ever.
see it. I
can't
can't
look at
wait
that.
to see that.
I mean, but seriously, I always find it weird, like these fetishes people have. And like we have a friend who has a boyfriend who has a big foot fetish.
Yeah.
I never
Right?
understood the feet thing.
I don't get
either.
it. What's sexy about it? And she would paint her toes with like French tip.
Uh-huh.
And that's not I find it weird. I don't know why. It looks
French
like
tip toes?
Like on video, she would paint them.
Like they were away and she's like, just to turn him on. A video of her
Listen,
painting
I don't know how
French
far this like
manicure.
foot fetish thing goes.
Maybe she does. I
Maybe.
don't know.
We
I
don't
just
know.
mean like French tip on the toe. It's like another level of commitment. I don't know what that is.
I like getting French.
Oh, you
my
do?
toes.
I was going to say, I feel like she's kind of quiet. She probably has it right now.
Okay.
Wait, guys, should I stop doing this? Is this a thing?
No,
No, I think
guess
it can be
apparently
cute.
it turns people on.
Oh, well, now I'm gonna stop doing it.
You're like, less attention on my toes.
You know what it was? It's that she doesn't even do her nails. So when I started noticing
Oh,
that
that
she had
she
French
really
tip on her
taking-
toes,
yeah.
I was like, what's that?
Why the toes, not the nails?
Why the toes, not the nails? Turns out boyfriend likes the toes.
But what does he do with the toes?
I honestly have never asked. I don't want to ask.
I mean, because like people do things
Oh
with
yeah,
toes.
we've heard some shit. We really have. We've heard
Okay.
some gnarly stuff.
Welcome
I
to our
kind of want to
podcast,
hear,
by
but
the
I'm
way.
also like, is this okay to talk about?
Listen,
Yeah, you're safe.
it's she's not worried.
You'll
It's
get-
about her.
She'll get canceled. You're fine.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's not my own personal experience.
No,
No.
but people have actual sex with feet.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I don't know what you thought you were coming into here, and I'm really
I thought you were gonna
apologize
say
in
like
advance.
suck on a toe. Like,
no,
oh.
no.
But you thought that was inappropriate?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm so
Sucking on
modest. I realize.
She's like, I want to leave.
You're like, well, because it's disgusting.
She's like, I came to talk about cars.
No, I'm here for it. Relating toes with cars. I do get a lot of DMs about me driving stick shift barefoot.
What?
See?
Yeah.
Wait, what do you like as a
Why?
turn on?
Like people want to pay me to send. I've never done it. I never will do it.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of DMs about people offering money for me to drive barefoot.
Like a video seeing
Yeah,
you drive
just my feet.
stick
Yeah.
barefoot.
Yeah.
How much are they offering?
I'm like, why haven't
Thousands.
you done it? No, I'm kidding.
Thousands.
Yeah.
But you
Hey,
won't do
if
it.
No, I
anyone
won't do
wants
it.
to see me drive barefoot,
I mean,
I'll do it any Tuesday, Wednesday.
she's like, I don't know
Thursday.
how to drive stick shift, but you'll see
That'll
my
be
bare
even
feet.
better.
That could be a
Yeah.
thing too.
It could be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into cars a little bit because this is so fascinating to me. I actually really appreciate cars. I know a lot of cars.
Awesome.
I love
You
cars.
know them
I know
personally?
them personally. I have met them many times. No, but like I'll get into it. You know, when I'm getting a new car and I get excited and I know a lot of models, makes, whatever. Also, side note, that game where they show you like car logos and you have to say what the car maker is. I'm
Mhm.
really good at that.
Where's that game?
It's like online. Do I do it? Yes. Am I
Oh.
a fucking nerd?
I didn't even know that was
Absolutely.
a game. I want to
Yeah.
play it now.
Yeah.
You're going to win.
Well, you're going to
Well, I don't know,
kill
but
it.
it'll be fun.
But anyway,
Yeah.
okay. So let's go back. I want to know how all of this came about for you.
Really quick before you do that.
Why?
She pulled in and I let her in. And just the littlest thing, like her car sounds like
I could hear it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what is
It
she
sounds like
driving? What
vroom.
are you driving today?
It's a CT5V Blackwing Cadillac. It's a supercharged V8
Damn.
stick. Yeah.
I find it so
That's really hot.
hot. That's what
Yeah.
I said. It's so sexy. And I was like, you can park right there. And she just like roomed and like backed into the spot. I've never backed into a spot in
Well,
my
you're
life.
not what we would call
A driver.
a driver.
But I'm just saying, I got to witness even just her backing
Yeah.
in. I was like, there's a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And
A lot of confidence handling machinery like
Yeah.
that, for sure.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
I'm
like
sorry I missed
second
it.
nature to me that I feel like once you start backing in a spot, you never just pull in a spot because it feels weird.
hmm,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
okay.
pull in a
I
spot, you got to
backed into my
back out
spot.
anyways.
I backed in this morning.
you did?
I did.
I've never once backed into
I was
a
ahead of
spot.
You're going to
doctor's
think about
appointment.
it now and you're going to have to do it.
She's not going to do it. Listen, unless she had one of those cars that automatically parks for you, she's
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to do it. We're not going to. She's not the driver here. It's okay. Accept
I'm a
it.
good passenger.
She's a good passenger.
Passenger princess.
Yes.
Like I will
I love
never,
that.
if we go anywhere, I'm always driving. Like she's not driving.
Rachel drives a little bit. Like, and I know this is sexist, but you drive like a dude. Is that sexist?
I take it as a compliment. I'm okay.
I
with
mean
it.
it as
I'm
a
comfortable
compliment.
with it.
Yeah. She knows
It's a
how to
compliment.
operate a vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Now ask her the questions.
Let's get into cars.
Oh my God. My story kind of takes a turn.
Oh.
Because I wasn't always into cars growing up. I grew up around a bunch of guys, so I was always into like video games and crashing our scooters into curbs because we thought Jackass was cool. And cars wasn't really a thing in my life at the time. I at 15 lost my dad to suicide.
At 15?
Yeah, 15. He shot himself in the head. I was the only one home with him the week that it had happened. He ended up doing it in his car down the street. I didn't see it. I just woke up to my mom screaming bloody murder because she got home that day to a suicide letter. And this was right before getting my driver's license. And at the time, my mom was into cars. My dad wasn't either that I was aware of. Unfortunately, I didn't know him too well. I was young. I didn't get that opportunity to grow with him. And one of my first big decisions in life was, all right, I need a car. I need that sense of freedom and escape, and I need to get out. What car do I buy myself? And I went on the internet, and I was on the racing forums, and I didn't know it at the time.
No way.
And the internet had told me that I needed something rear-wheel drive. It had to be bigger than a 4-cylinder, and it had to be a stick. And
Wow.
I ended up buying this Infiniti G35 for my first car. And I never driven stick a day in my life. Completely roasted the clutch getting home with it.
But you taught yourself.
Yeah. And it was a great distraction at the time because it gave me something to like obsess over and put my mind to, of just wanting to like perfect it and get better with it. And I built this relationship with the car. And then my mom hadn't worked, so she couldn't afford the cost of living in California. And we packed everything and drove cross country and moved to Indiana. Indiana's where I found my love of cars. I was driving with a friend. This was my fourth high school at that point. I was driving with a friend in the passenger seat, and this guy pulls up in this old Crown Vic, which is what the older police cars used to be. And she yells out the window to this guy, this complete stranger, "Don't you love my friend's car?" And I was like, "Jessica, please." He's like, this is embarrassing. But he was like, "I do actually." And he gives me an address and a time of where to show up to because they do these car meets. Looking back, I was then 16 to go in the middle of the night to a random parking garage in Indiana. I don't know why I did it looking back. I probably wouldn't advise it looking back, but I did it and I didn't think twice on it. And I showed up and I'm just going up this parking garage and there's no one there. And I'm like, oh, did I make a mistake? Is this sketchy? But when I got to the top, it was just all these cars. And a lot of the attention was focused on the engine versus the looks of it, which was new for me. And there I met the car community. They went by B Crew for Bloomington Crew, Bloomington, Indiana. And I met Booch, who ended up becoming a mentor and a best friend to me. And these guys kind of pulled me out of a dark times instead of partying on the weekends, which don't get me wrong, I definitely went through dark times and there was plenty of that. They were these incredible fatherly figures and big brothers to me. And we were working on cars on the weekends and just opened this whole world. And now wherever I travel, I feel like I have this found family, which is the car community.
Wow.
So crazy.
So you find that kind of like when you're traveling anywhere you go.
Yeah, I feel like it's always there.
Yeah.
I eventually moved back to California. I couldn't turn on the TV without feeling guilty that I wasn't pursuing what I'd wanted to do, which was acting. I'm very passionate about action films, and that's what I'm pursuing and I'd been pursuing. When I moved back to LA, I worked in food and service for 6 years. Never got a job or an opportunity. My mom was the one who actually told me, like, "Oh, honey, you should YouTube. Have you thought about YouTubing? You're still working on these cars after your restaurant shifts. Why don't you do that?" And I was like, "YouTube? Like, come on, Mom. What do you know?" Mom was right.
Mom was right. Mom's always right.
Yep.
And I started vlogging, working on cars, and that eventually took off. And it's just been a constant grind of 3 videos a week for the last 7 years.
Wow.
This past year, I've tailored back to once a week so I can focus more on acting opportunities. And it took 9 years to get my first acting job. I'm very grateful for everything that had happened because I feel like it made me a stronger person. It gave me this kind of like independence and appreciation and groundedness, if that's a word, that I don't feel like I would have learned on my own otherwise. Um, but yeah, and that's kind of where wanting to do something about mental health in this world became so important to me. I mean, in the last decade, there's been over 500,000 deaths to suicide. And I feel like a big thing is prevention, more so than when it's too late. I found this nonprofit called Alive and Well, and I was so excited about it because I've worked with a lot of different nonprofit organizations in the past. And I actually donate a percentage of all my merch apparel sales to different organizations. And when I found Alive and Well, there's still this like new company. We're still growing. And I was really happy to end up becoming on the board of this because I feel like, you donate money, you never really know where it's going.
Right.
So for me to be involved firsthand with an organization was huge. So now I actually know where things are going and how we're helping and high level trying to help subsidize the cost, if not make completely free mental health care. And Alive and Well's slogan is, we'd rather put a fence around a cliff than an ambulance or a hearse at the bottom.
Oof.
Wow.
So it's all about prevention, all about
Wow.
education, teaching the skills and traits of how to work the mental health out. If you're physically fit, you work on, quote unquote, you work on the physical. If you want to be mentally fit, you got to work on the mental. So it's helping to educate and really just train and be kind to yourself and things like simple things that not a lot of people do, or meditation, or even if you don't meditate, just go sit outside for 5 minutes. You can journal. There's a lot of things, a lot of ways just to help and educating that, and hopefully being able to bring that into schools. So it's something you're taught at a young age. When I found out I lost my dad, the next day I went to school like nothing had happened.
Wow.
And because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in a finance class and I just started tearing up in class because I was like, oh my God, I was in a continuation. So their curriculum's a little different than what typical school systems are. And I remember just thinking like, no one's going to teach me this stuff. Like I'm officially on my own. And that was a big awakening moment. And then they shortly pulled me out of class after that and had me sit down with a therapist. And the therapist just like, she had no idea what to say to me.
Really?
I appreciated her coming and just sitting in silence with me because at the time, like that was hugely helpful. But yeah, I think just trying to help educate and be involved. And we have I'm going on a rant now, but we have an incredible director, Dr. Galen Cole, who's been, he worked with the CDC for over 20 years. He's been a practicing psychotherapist for over 23 years and just kind of doing what we can.
Broad Ideas is supported by Talkspace. Feeling down? It's okay if the holidays aren't so cheery. Days get shorter, issues with the family can sometimes come to a head. Online therapy with Talkspace can help you feel better and give you the tools you need to navigate this time of year with your mental health supported. With Talkspace, you don't have to wait to get an appointment or travel to an office. You're able to access your provider from the comfort of your device. At Talkspace.com, you could sign up online and get a personalized match with a provider that's right for you, typically within 48 hours. It's incredibly convenient to have virtual sessions with your licensed therapist from the comfort of your home. As a listener of this podcast, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/ideas. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/ideas to get $80 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/ideas. Broad Ideas is supported by Quince. I love gift giving, but it can really add up. That's why this holiday season, I'm shopping Quince. Quince is my go-to place for luxury essentials at affordable prices for everyone on my list, including me. Quince offers a range of high-quality items with prices within reach, like 100% Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50, washable silk tops and dresses, cotton sweaters, and comfy pants. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. That's why I'm giving the gift of Quince's buttery soft cashmere to my nearest and dearest this year. I also have recently discovered their bedding in their home section, and oh my goodness, the colors. I am so excited to redress my bed. Take the drama out of planning an outfit and upgrade your closet with Quince today. Go to quince.com/ideas for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/ideas and get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/ideas.
What did you notice, out of curiosity, with your own experience, looking back at your relationship with your father? Did you know he was suffering? Was it something that
I
was
love that you
talked
asked me.
about?
I love that you asked me that. I feel like a lot of time people are too scared to ask questions. I'm such an open book with it all. So when I was with my dad the week before, like I knew that there was something wrong.
Mhm.
My mom was away visiting family. My brother's at like a wakeboarding camp, so he was just supposed to be watching me. I knew something had happened. I didn't fully understand what had happened. That he just for backstory, he was addicted to pills and alcohol,
Mhm.
and drugs, and he was paralyzed on the whole left side of his body from a motorcycle accident.
Oh, wow.
So he struggled with that. There was a level of abuse, unfortunately, and I never want to talk so much about that because I don't want to speak ill of the dead.
I get that.
Um, but the week leading up to it, like the day before it had happened, I just like there's just weird energy in the air, and I couldn't really. It's hard to explain. And the day before, he was leaving the front door, and I don't know why. I was 15 years old, and I went up to him. I was like, "Hey, are you going to come back?" And I don't know why I asked that question.
Mm.
Wow.
And he asked me, "Do you want me to come back?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, I'll come back." And then he left. He came back later that night. And we had like a TV dinner, like a microwavable dinner. And I was like talking about like music, like bass systems for cars. And I was like, "Oh, did you know that I learned that there's a bass strong enough that it can make you skip a heartbeat and it'll kill you?" And he was like, "Oh, sign me up for that." And I just remember
Oh.
sitting in silence eating my like meal on like this plastic plate of like, I wish I would have just told him, I don't want you to die. But like as a kid, you're like,
Yeah.
like you're not thinking that someone's gonna take their life.
No.
But yeah, he ended up doing it the next day and left a suicide note on the bed that my mom found.
Are you
How,
yeah.
when your mom, so did she come back? She came back that day.
Yeah.
That was the next day. So she was coming home and
So I had uh, a partner at the time I was seeing who um, snuck in the middle of the night and stayed the night. And my dad didn't really care for them, but uh, we had stayed the night in my room, but we heard my dad rustling really early in the morning. And I was like, "Oh, go walk out there like you just got here this morning, and pretend like you've been here so it doesn't seem like you stayed the night." And they went out there and came back, and they're like, "I've never seen your dad happier in his life."
oh wow.
And he
Oh,
was
wow.
wrestling in the office. And I was like, "Oh, maybe things are better now." We went back to sleep. And that's when I woke up to my mom screaming bloody murder. Um, Turns out he was in the office looking for a gun, but I think he had made peace with his decision.
Yeah.
And that's why he had seemed so
Wow.
happy.
Wow.
Um,
Right.
yeah.
But how interesting that you had, your partner go out at that moment and was able to witness that and
Yeah.
bring that back to you. Cause I feel like that would offer some, you know, I don't even know. Obviously not having gone through it, Olivia lost her dad at 15 as well.
Really?
Mhm.
What'd you lose your dad to, if you don't mind me asking?
He was shot by a police officer.
Really?
Yeah, drunk driving. So I understand
Just one day life changing.
the
Mhm.
life-changing trauma. Yeah,
Yeah.
same age.
Yeah. What did you do to get through it?
I drank.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't talk about it much, but I definitely had a phase
Mhm.
that I'm not proud of.
Yeah, I partied. I was with my friends, my boyfriend, just escape, escape, escape.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
But it doesn't work.
No.
And then, I think one of the things, one of our dear friends' fathers took his own life too. And one of the things that happens, I think, when you lose someone in one of those traumatic ways is you start to question yourself. Like, am I okay?
Yeah.
Right? And your DNA and addiction, all of that kind of stuff, were those things that you looked at too when he went or later? Or did you go through any of that with the mental health?
I definitely went through a lot of that myself personally after it. Like, yeah, I'm not proud of a lot of the stuff that I went through and that I did. And that's why I think I'm so grateful of the car community too, because I do feel like I feel like I owe my life to them.
Yeah.
Because I really sincerely wouldn't feel like I had a purpose or people who cared for me if I didn't find them. I mean, God bless my mom's heart. Like, she went back to school, got her master's degree because she was like, I need to work. So she went back to school full time, which I like. She was setting such an incredible example at the time too. I was like even more, separated from family and alone. But again, I think it was good for me because it just, I ended up getting 4 jobs while going to school part time, trying to just fill the void with things, just trying to stay busy in whatever it was. But yeah.
And what about your brother? Is he younger than you?
He is younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah. He um, is in the military.
Oh, wow.
He actually ended up moving to Canada for a while. We have some family up there. And then he recently came back to Indiana and lives near my mom. So I'm really thankful that they're closer together now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all just so. Were you crying?
No.
Oh.
No. I mean, I'm crying on the inside.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
for sure you are. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't tell. But, I mean, I think it's so beautiful that you are such an advocate for mental health and all of that, because it is massive. And even you were saying the statistics of people that do take their own lives, and, it's such a delicate topic. But to have people like yourself or anyone that is so open and willing to talk about it, I think is the biggest gift. I know that there are a lot of people that I think, feel very much so in the dark but if there's people that look up to you and everything you're doing and the cars and the community and your following and everything, but you also have this message along with it. And I think that is just a rarity to
Thank you.
have as a gift,
Yeah. I always knew that I'd wanted to do something to give back and help. And I mean, obviously, I went through struggles myself, and openly to this day, I struggle with anxiety and depression,
Yeah.
as a lot of people do.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
I, after you build enough of a name or an influence, the next thing people typically look at is selling merch and selling clothes. And I just didn't want to. I felt weird selling stuff with my name on it. I'm like, why? Like, you guys are supporting me enough, like watching these videos and just helping me grow this brand and being my family online. Like, I just always felt weird asking for them to buy more things. So um, I could have more money to buy more cars. I mean, sure, that sounds great, but there's something weird about it. And I was like, well, if I'm gonna ask people to buy something, I at least want there to, one, be a message.
Yeah.
And two, to at least have some of it go towards a good cost. Because everyone had been asking me to sell stuff too. And that's the way that I was able to make peace with it, was knowing that I was doing something with it. And yeah, it ultimately led to being able to help spread awareness, people telling me that it's helped them dearly. And yeah, eventually leading me to Alive and Well.
One of our best friends made a film who's a suicide survivor.
Really?
And it's so profound and so beautiful. And the proceeds go, there's probably some sort of connection that we could match up something with you guys. And
Sure.
because Rachel and I are producers on that as well.
Okay.
So,
Or even if I can just help spread the word.
yeah. I think
Whatever.
there's a way we can help each other kind of get behind those, because we care so deeply about this topic and this issue. And it's why we have the podcast is so that people feel a little bit less alone, so that they can hear some truths and maybe laugh and maybe also feel a little less alone. Because what you're explaining that the car community did for you is exactly what anyone suffering needs, because the opposite of addiction is connection. And the more we can connect, whether it's a community of people building cars or a community in a 12-step program or hiking, whatever it is, there's communities of people that can ease the suffering.
Right.
Right?
Totally.
I just wonder, like you're so young processing all of it, and at 15 and your mom, like, and we're moms now, like thinking about that and like your mom having to navigate everything with 2 young kids and, her husband not being there anymore and moving you guys to Indiana and all these decisions. And do you remember, like, what was your relationship with your mom at the time?
The relationship with my mom at the time wasn't the best.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was teen years, daughter and mom.
Sure.
I don't know if I was frustrated that she treated me at the time more like a kid of like, you don't need to know these things. Like it's
Right.
just focus on being a kid, when it's like, treat me like an adult. We're doing adult things. I don't fully know what it was. We didn't get along the best when I was younger, but when you're in a household of abuse and not seeing someone stand up for themselves, it's hard to watch. And I don't know. It was.
Did you feel like resentment towards your mom?
I don't know if I mean, maybe. I don't know if resentment's the right word, because I loved and cared for her deeply. I just I didn't understand why she wouldn't stand up for herself.
That's what I mean by resentment.
Yeah.
Like watching the female figure you look up to, maybe not being able to do that.
Yeah.
And having those feelings.
And even after my dad passed, I don't think I fully, at the time, gave my mom the credit she deserved for, like you're saying, having 2 kids, having to move cross country, dealing with the loss of, someone she'd been married to for, I think they're married over 20 years. I should probably know that. But I don't feel like I ever gave her the credit. But as I got older and I matured, I was like so grateful of her. And now it's funny because everyone who's met my mom and met me, it's not really a mother-daughter relationship. It's more of a best friend relationship.
Yeah.
And we treat and talk to each other like sisters. So I'm so close with my mom today, and I tell her everything, and I'm so thankful of that. And it was pretty cool that I was able to surprise her with a car.
How fun.
Yeah, her dream car, which
What's her dream car?
it was an all-wheel drive hybrid RAV4. So because she lives in Indiana, she needs all-wheel drive.
She's got to get around.
Yeah, for sure.
When it snows.
Yeah.
And she was trying to be gas conscious. But I surprised her with that, and that was a really special moment to be able to do that.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many cars do you have?
13.
13.
Yeah.
Do you have like a special garage somewhere that you keep them? It's not like at your house. Okay.
I mean, a lot are at my house. I'm very grateful that I have such nice and kind neighbors.
Wow.
But I also do have a shop that I keep most of them at too.
13.
Just remembering to pay the registration is challenging.
Yeah, you need
It's a lot of cars.
a full-time employee.
What's your favorite car out of all your cars?
Everyone always asks me that, but I don't know if I have a favorite.
Do you have like a top 2 that you're like, oh, or for a reason?
It's tough because they're all built for different things,
right?
I joke and always say, well, my favorite one's going to be the next one. And so I heard someone say this, and it just put it in such perspective to me. If you're a mother and you have kids, or a father, you probably have a favorite child if you have multiple children, but you'll never say which child it is.
She does all
I
the time.
don't.
I'm just kidding.
I don't.
I'm just kidding.
I don't.
So I'm like, well, my cars and my kids, even if I have a favorite, I probably shouldn't say it,
No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point.
What about the acting? Because I love to hear that you have 2 passions, because I've always experienced that myself. I'd have one thing that I was really passionate about, and then also acting being a passion. And I think sometimes it's hard when the current of one thing takes you? Like the current of the cars have taken you in a certain area. What is that internal relationship like when it comes to the acting?
So I always give 110% to everything I do. But if you're focused on two things, you'll never be as good as the person who's focusing on one thing.
Right.
So it was a very tough line for me to walk of focusing on cars and also focusing on acting because I wanted to be the best that I could be in both areas. So when you're devoting, I mean, realistically 50-50 of your time, you're not really giving 100 into it. By nature, it's kind of impossible. And depending when this comes out, will lead me to talking about the movie that I did. It was a very special thing to be able to do a movie that was about cars.
Isn't that
God,
wonderful?
Fast and the Furious.
I wish. I'm in Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Gran Turismo.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that was really special. We shot in Hungary and
wow.
just being, and it's funny, I knew some of the stunt drivers because of just being in the
car community.
Yeah. And it was just such a cool project. I remember sitting out there and I'd never been in so much peace in my life than being out there on that set because I was like, I didn't feel like I had to chase anything anymore. I felt like I was there and I got to just absorb that fully.
But it was like your two loves married.
Yeah, but that's isn't that kind of how it works? It's like you allow yourself to follow your passion, whatever that passion is. And it could be cars, it could be acting, it could be cooking. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, here's a part where you play a chef. And it's like, how did that happen? That's the magic of the universe.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is so
I think
cool.
you get back what you put out.
Yeah.
I also, a lot of people say, oh, you're so lucky. I believe luck is when hard work meets opportunity.
Agreed.
I feel like you have to put out into the universe and work towards it and the universe will give back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And not to go off on a tangent, but I also believe people want to see other people succeed. And I don't think anyone really ever wishes ill on anyone. And at least my character is if I can ever help someone, I want to. So I can only believe that's what everyone wants to do for other people everywhere.
I love that attitude.
Yeah, I know. It's really
you get what you focus on. So if you look at the world as a bunch of people that don't want to help you, you're going to experience a bunch of people that don't want to help you.
Right. That's actually one of the practices in the pre-education for Alive and Well. That's one of the big key things that we talk about is that what you put out is going to attract. If you put out negative thoughts, you're going to receive negative things.
Right.
If you say, I don't want this, the world's going to focus on this and it's going to come into your life. So focus on the things like positive thoughts, positive things. Like you're going to feel what your thoughts are, even if your thoughts are subconscious. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt you to think,
no, I love it.
Yeah.
So true.
The biggest.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm, just naturally so programmed to be like, like this, like, I don't want this, or focusing on like the negative thing because I don't know, like for whatever reason, internally being programmed that way, but just like consciously being aware. And that's the biggest thing, and just changing it. It's like, no. Don't focus on what you don't want. You focus on what you want.
Right.
And you manifest and you do all these things. And like, that's living proof. And like, your movie and literally being put into like the most comfortable set you probably ever could have been put in to like get your feet wet and get started and how amazing. And it just goes to show. And I can tell your attitude is so beautiful and positive. And
thank you.
Everything around you is a result of that. Broad Ideas is supported by Blissy. So I've been sleeping on this Blissy pillowcase, and let me tell you, I did not know that a pillowcase could feel so good and make such a big difference in my life. It is time to upgrade your sleep with Blissy's award-winning 100% mulberry silk pillowcases. The holidays are just around the corner, and if you're looking for the best gift you can give, look no further than a Blissy silk pillowcase. Silk is honestly the most luxurious gift to give your friends or family. These are the perfect gift for any occasion. Plus, it comes in gift-ready packaging they'll be sure to love. Give yourself the gift of Blissy today, and you'll want one for every room of the house. I love my Blissy pillowcase. Not only me, my daughter loves her Blissy pillowcase. Honestly, I think that all tangles have gone away, and her hair looks so good in the morning. It's a miracle. Blissy silk pillowcases are the best silk pillowcases on the market. They have a ton of different prints and colors, and they make great gifts because there's an option for literally anyone. Men love them too. They have over 1.5 million raving fans, and you could be next. Try now risk-free for 60 nights at blissy.com/Rachel and get an additional 30% off. That's BLISSY.com/Rachel and use code Rachel to get an additional 30% off. Give yourself the gift of a good night's sleep with Blissy. Do you build engines? Like you just do all of it. Like you can literally just this is where I'm just like, this is the coolest thing. I know I keep going back to that because I think it's so fucking rad.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but like you'll just be like, all right, this old beat up car, for instance, like you can get something from like, a junkyard, so to speak.
I just bought a 69 Camaro a week ago that I'm going to be rebuilding. My goal is to finish it by the end of the month. Obviously,
by the end of the month, that's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
2 weeks away. I started doing everything by myself. I've had some incredible mentors along the way. Thankfully, today now I have this team that's like my family that I'm really grateful for. Because we're also
So cool.
2 weeks away.
So cool.
It's so cool.
Like today, I would say I couldn't fathom doing everything just alone because I feel like you need to grow with people. So I couldn't do something like this in 2 weeks without an incredible team of people I trust and I admire as well. And I also never want to be the smartest person in the room anyways, because then you stop growing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I love it. It sounds like you've done a lot of
work. Internal work.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Is
maybe
that like,
it's because I'm an overthinker.
well, we all are. I mean, you're speaking to the choir
I think
here.
that's it. Look, I always say God doesn't give with two hands. Something's always being given and something's always being taken. And I think that one of the things of having such traumatic experiences as a young adult or a young child, really, 15, you're not even an adult, but with the anxiety and the depression and the things that come from that, it's like you're forced to look at these things faster and you're forced to do something about the mind.
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise it's one of two ways. And like you were saying, like the first reaction, and we've said this so many times, is like, focusing on what I don't want. And people will try to be positive and it doesn't feel natural. And the part that we heard, I think Kristen Bell's the one who said this to us, is you're not responsible for your first thought. You're responsible for your second thought and your first action.
I love that.
That to me is everything.
I've never heard that before. I like
Isn't that
a lot.
brilliant?
Yeah.
Because then it's like if you are cranky about something or ungrateful or negative, you don't have to be so hard on yourself and be like, what's wrong with me? You can be like, okay, I see that.
Yeah.
What am I going to choose now though?
I heard another thing the other day that was like, there's 3 frogs on a log. One decides to jump off. How many frogs are left? 3. Because decision without action is just a decision.
Oh, that's tricked us. I was like, but the one...
You're like, but when he jumped?
But he jumped.
What's the kid's song? It's like, I was about to sing a child song about the frog that jumps in.
That's what I thought you were going to do. I thought you were going to be like...
I was waiting for you to hear them say they all jumped off following the lead of
a green frog one day. You know what I'm talking?
I do, but I don't know the song.
Sorry, we're moms, obviously. We sing a lot of kids' songs. Yeah, but it's true, and I just, it speaks to the same thing. And I think that is so beautiful that Kristen did tell us that.
Yeah.
But it's true.
Because the mind wants to, it's easier to go to the negative.
It is.
Because there's no change that has to come with that. And that's the part about positivity that I think it doesn't feel natural for people. And I think that's okay. It doesn't have to. It takes effort.
Yeah,
you have to effort.
That's the work that you have to put in.
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah.
What did work look like for you? Was it therapy, like a lot of, or is it just
self-care work?
Yeah.
Well, I think I went through different phases of that throughout my life. I think when you're kind of in a way forced to raise yourself, you're more conscious of the things around you. And like it sounds weird to say, but I like studied a lot of people who I felt like they had their life together, even those who I felt like didn't, because like, how do you behave? How do you respond? Like even learning like shaking people's hands and like being courteous and being kind. Like it's all things that like you go out and you learn. And I think being receptive to that was something that was hugely helpful. It took me years to find a therapist that I'm happy with. I'm so thankful for her. But I went to so many therapists. I literally like I would sit there and tell people to go find therapy and I couldn't find it myself.
Wow.
It took and because I knew it was important and I've seen it help people firsthand, but it took me so long to find someone. Because it's not an easy thing.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
Especially when I was on food stamps and the Medicare system when I had moved back out here. So it's not like I literally spent everything in my bank account to move back out here and pursue this ridiculous dream. And I went through the Medi-Cal system and I was looking for therapists there, and the experiences that I went through were like scary. I'd be in like I remember one so vividly of this guy and he had this like dark gray little office, and there were stains all over the couches and the walls had stains, and it was just the vibe. It was just
no good.
It was dirty and unpleasant.
You wouldn't feel safe.
And he just kept asking me, and how did that make you feel? And how did that make you feel? And I was just like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
It might that type of reflection might help some people, but for me, I felt uncomfortable in that setting.
Yeah.
And I think too, having to go through that as well of not having, I had healthcare obviously through Medi-Cal, but I wasn't getting top of the line therapists. And I think going through that experience too is like, I think it's so important to try to provide that help for people who can't afford it. That's more than what is reachable right now. So I think, I know providing, free mental health care will be hugely important to people. So that was another awakening for me to be like, it's important. I'm sorry. I feel like I just went off on.
No, it's a crisis.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a mental health crisis.
There is. My daughter's school, the head of school was like, going to have someone available to the kids, because even transitioning with the pandemic and back in school, and like a lot of kids are struggling. And I think it's beautiful to provide someone to talk to, because, sometimes your parents, they're not going to cut it. Or they are.
Well, they also don't have the tools necessarily.
Right. Like not everyone has the tools or knows how to navigate certain things. So I think
or is not all parents are certified psychologists, who
no, they're not.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
Certainly not. Yeah. And it's like, I would sit down with the psychologist or whoever, for the school and try to ask questions, because I think having that help and that resource is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And especially for children. Like I'm watching, oh my God, it's so cute. So my little one, he doesn't really speak much, little bits. Anyways, he does a mix of sign language. And the other day, my older son was getting really upset, and we started them at this new school where they do social and emotional learning. So every day at the start of school, they check in on their emotions. They give them a toolbox of different tools they can use for breathing, for reflection, for...
Oh, that's cool.
It's insanely cool. And so my older one was getting upset. He was getting mad about something. And Shepherd, the little one, came up to him and was going like this.
No.
And holding up his hands and doing the numbers to breathe. And I was like, okay, they're in the right place.
They're in the right place.
Like, he's learning those tools in school.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And we all needed that, right?
It's something that should be taught, but when I went to school, it wasn't. I'm so happy to hear that that's something that...
I feel like it's come a long way. There's like mindfulness at my daughter's school, and they do the things that kids can conceptualize, like the hot chocolate, breathe, you sip the hot chocolate, you breathe out or whatever. I'm not saying the right thing, but they use like examples that kids can relate to.
Hot chocolate.
They give them hot chocolate and they feel great.
They feel good.
It makes everything better.
What are they putting on hot chocolate?
I know, right? But it's like the bubbles, and you have your, whatever.
Yeah, they do it in kid-friendly language. They've got toolbox with different color microphones. And it's like, if you're feeling the red microphone, you pick it up, because that's anger.
That's cool.
And so you can express it through the red microphone, but we all know now that that's what you're expressing.
Yeah.
So it's not like, so that they start to learn the difference.
Yeah, even to have the tool of being able to express your emotions. And if you're feeling something, knowing what you're feeling is so important. Like, there was definitely a time in my life where I'm like, I'm feeling this and I don't know what this is, because I didn't I never went through having to categorize what different feelings were. And then when you know what they are, then you can try to like figure out a fix or a solution to them.
Yeah.
That's so cool to hear that it's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important to know what you're feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just shoving the feelings down.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's made at least my daughter more open talking about her feelings, and vocalizing for herself, which I think is really great because I know I never did that as a kid. Everything, I would hold everything in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we were taught to do too.
Yeah. Because it's coming off of like generational stuff.
They didn't know.
Yeah, they didn't know. But my mom is very spiritual and has always been very open about all this stuff. So I guess to a certain degree, I had an advantage in that very open household. Too open at times. But but I think that it's just so great that it is available now. It's just, and kids and observing them, because there's my daughter has so many friends and it's like constant kids after school, kids at a thing, and you're just like watching all these different kids and just the way they communicate. But I will say what I'm witnessing is all of them are very confident and open with saying exactly how they feel.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
to the point,
amazing.
like, where one joined us for lunch and like asked, like, "Are you disappointed that I'm here?"
Oh,
and one of the girls was like, "Well, it's not the worst." Like, it was like, I was like, "Oh my God, wait, they're so honest, but like maybe we can tone it back a little bit."
Wait, that is amazing.
I know. I was like, wait. Then she was like, "You're like this message of like, yes, advocate for yourself, be open, be honest." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, and then there's feelings to consider and whatnot. But
that comes. That's learn to express yourself, then learn how to do it in a kind and nice way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's just interesting to observe.
Yeah,
Do you want kids?
I don't know. At least right now in my life, I don't. I joke, "Oh, my cars are my kids."
Yeah.
I also couldn't imagine living life without having like children or a family. After losing family and really only having my mom and my brother who live on the other side of the country, family is important to me as I get older. If you would have asked me last year, I'd been like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want kids." But as I'm getting older, I'm like, you know what? I couldn't imagine the thought of being old in a home by myself and not having someone, family to experience those years with, because I don't think my partner, I can't expect them to be alive with me for the remainder of life. I mean, it's a dark way to think after losing, someone, but it's the truth. Someone's got to live longer than the other.
Right.
And I don't want to be alone. And maybe that's a selfish reason to have kids. But as I'm getting older, I'm kind of like, well, it'd be pretty cool to have that family and do the things I never got to do, like have like good holidays and celebrate those and instill things that I'd like to leave behind on this earth. Like instill goodness. I don't know. I know that's not a word.
No, it works. It works.
Yeah. It's a work in process. It's been something that I've been thinking about. I don't know if I'm ready now. But the thought scares me of living the rest of my life alone, whether that's me having kids or adoption or whatever it is. I feel like eventually there will be something.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to people that don't have a thing, that don't have
like a passion or something?
Yeah. Because that I think is what people stumble with a lot is that if they had the thing, they'd feel better, right?
I wish I had the right answer. I didn't find cars found me.
Right.
And I feel like it'll come to you, whoever's listening, when it's supposed to. And I don't think you need to stress on it. But I also feel like you need to put yourself out there. And it's what we were talking about earlier. What you put out in the universe is what you're going to get. If you're not willing to go out and experience things and find what you love, it's not gonna, you're not open to it. So life may not give it to you. If you're going out there with a good mindset of I want to try new things and find what I love, then that might come to you.
Right.
At least that's what I believe. But I also think everything happens for a reason. And I believe life has good intentions for people. So
it's so interesting, like, to hear you say that, and like, so do you look back on what happened with your dad? Do you have a positive spin on it?
yeah,
Mm.
it sounds so fucked, but I'm grateful for the outcome of it. Obviously, I'm not grateful he's not here today. I wish he still were, but I'm grateful of the person I've become because of what had happened. I sincerely just feel like I have this um drive, maybe pun intended,
I know.
that I wouldn't have if that didn't happen.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But you've taken something, and I think a lot of people that have tragedies in their life and traumas, but if you can take it and you get a lesson from it, or have learned things and grow in certain areas and can like spin it and try to find the strength in it or the positive in it, which obviously is very challenging. And some people might be able to do it a little
Sure.
better than others, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing to be able to.
Yeah, and
Take
don't
that.
get me wrong, it didn't happen overnight.
Of
This is over
course.
a decade later. I reflect back. I'm like, okay, now I can see how it's the trajectory of my life has changed for the better.
Yeah.
And do you have a spiritual connection as far as like your father goes? Is there anything outside of yourself that you connect with?
I go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really don't know. I feel like there's been times in my life since my dad has passed where I'm like, man, there's a guardian angel looking over my shoulder. My dad's looking after me.
Right.
I feel that. Whether I know that that's true or not,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I don't know. I'm not religious, really. I was raised in an extremely religious household, so I think that might have deterred me a bit as I got older. I like to believe I'm spiritual, but it's been some weird fucking coincidences, and I've been saved in really weird times for me not to believe that there is something.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your honesty.
Yeah.
You're just such an honest human, and it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
To witness you. It seems like you just have like a really strong connection to your integrity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an open book. I don't always have the answers, but I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. I mean, you also have a podcast, right?
I do have a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So it's funny you say Fast and Furious earlier because my friend Kang, who's in the Fast and Furious franchise, he and I started a podcast together called Car Stories. And we feel cars is, everyone has a connective tissue to cars. Most people, and if you're fortunate enough to have a car or who have had a first car or maybe a car experience elsewhere growing up, a lot of people have a memory with a vehicle. And I don't know, maybe it was your first kiss or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be racing or modifying. But cars is kind of like a connective tissue in a way. And we've got to talk with some pretty incredible people. And cars is always kind of the grounding of it. And we hear their stories and what makes them tick, and more so what legacy do they hope to leave behind, and more high level conversations of just kind of getting deep with it.
Yeah.
I love it. You say that and I'm like, oh my God, like all these stories like in cars,
Same.
Like you're so right. And
yeah. At first I was like, I don't. And then you said
God.
And it took me right back to like, there's certain cars that when I see them, I feel my dad. Or like when I have my memories, I can feel and smell the leather or the way the sound, like the steering wheel, the smell. Like, I'm like,
I love that's where you went. I was like, my first car. Like my Jeep Grand Cherokee 97 with like the pink and white stripe around it, sitting with my high school boyfriend listening to Ghetto Superstar and kissing in front of his house.
Yeah. That's us.
That's us. In a nutshell. But that's so true, like just the car memory. It's really cool and really fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people have crazy stories and memories and whatnot.
Yeah.
You guys, I had a car phone in my car.
I did too.
You did?
Yeah, my brother got it for me.
Oh, your brother got it for you. Yeah.
I never had a car phone, but I know
Well,
what
because
you
you're
guys
so
are talking
young.
about.
You're so young. You're like,
You
what's
plugged it
that?
in with the lighter.
I know of the car phones.
Yeah, because my dad was like, if you're in a car, I need to know if there's an emergency.
Yeah,
you
before cell
have-
phones.
Before cell
Yeah.
phones.
And GPS.
It sounds so bougie though.
It was so big, and I'd have to
It was
hold
massive.
it out of
Like,
the.
we sound like we're so old. Like they're like our big car phone.
well,
We
I
are
mean,
old. We are. We're old. It's a different generation. But yeah, oh my God, it just brings up so much. And I think it's just so cool. And everything that you're doing.
Oh my
and
God,
building.
thank you.
I want to like see all your cars.
You guys
I want to go
are
on a
welcome
drive with
whenever.
you. Yeah.
Do you like race at all? Are you
I
into
don't race in a competitive series, but I do road racing and I do go to the drag strip and I do a lot of drag racing. And I, at one point, I don't like using the phrase my claim to fame, but what I grew a lot of recognition for in the industry was at one point building the world's fastest new generation Corvette.
So cool.
So
So
building
cool.
and piloting that.
that.
So then I kind of became obsessed with wanting to like tinker cars and make them faster and push the limits and find where the limits are and then take them to the drag strip and try to set those quarter mile times with them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so fucking cool.
Thanks.
Do you ever let your partner, I don't know if you're in a relationship now, but do you ever let your partner drive?
I try to keep my that side of my life private. In terms of friends, I'll let some friends drive, not all.
Yeah.
I can sometimes be a backseat driver and I really don't passenger well.
I would imagine.
I would imagine you not being in the
I don't
passenger
even
seat.
I don't even ride in airplanes very well.
I get that.
Yeah.
Because you're
you
not
like to be in
controlling
control
it.
of whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. I totally get that.
Which is a weird thing. Like when I was young, I was like, yeah, no problem. This is like in the past like 5 years, it's become more of a thing.
Wow. Do you want to fly a plane someday?
I'm actually working on getting my license
You
right
are
now.
getting, of course, you're getting your pilot's license. How many hours do you have?
I have
left?
8. I don't have that many.
You only have 8 now. Got it.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
have,
Yeah, so
what is it, like
it's
1,000? How many do you
like
need?
30, I believe. I'm going to misspeak, and then
30,000?
my coach or the pilot guy I'm studying under is going to hate me for this, but I'm still so new into it.
Yeah, but 8 hours is still...
It's good. It's
a
a
commitment.
maritime.
That's
so
you
cool,
put in
though.
time.
Yeah.
So cool. I flew a plane once. Like it was a birthday present.
You did? What?
Yes.
Did they
From
let you?
who?
Did they let you land or take off
No.
in the air?
Oh God, no. It was like, my first time ever. It was a little Cessna and I flew the plane. And
What?
that was,
What kind of
a
plane?
Cessna. It's like a little tiny.
You
like
act
a
like
single
I'm
engine.
supposed to know what a Cessna is. She's like, it's a Cessna.
You know the smaller planes that have the propeller in the front, just one.
No.
Okay.
But yes, sure.
Anyway.
I get it.
Yeah, that is what I flew.
Assuming that's what you flew. But
Yeah, it may
that's-
have had 2.
That's even cooler if that's the case.
Don't quote me on that either. It was
So
a long
by
time
you
ago.
saying you flew the plane, that means you held those things.
I steered it and I had to like make it go up and make it go down. and
heck
like, yeah,
no.
I flew the plane.
No.
I flew the plane. Yes.
Flying's fun.
It was
I
cool.
would imagine it's
I was like,
fun,
I'm
but
happy I didn't have to land. That is intimidating.
My first time doing
Yeah.
an introductory flight, they had me land.
No,
Oh
they
my
didn't.
God. They're
Yeah.
like, she can handle it.
I did it. Oh my God, I was scared. I was crab walking a little. I didn't. He's like the guys there the pilot's there to take controls if needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. But you handled it like
I mean,
a
as far
fucking
as I
boss,
know,
I'm
he
sure.
was still helping a little without me noticing because it was so tunnel vision of like,
Oh my God. Yeah. That's what would scare the shit out of me is landing.
yeah.
Yeah. But are you
It's-
comfortable with it now?
I'm still like so beginning with my hours that I probably wouldn't say comfortable yet.
Yes.
But it did also make me learn things like when you're in the air, you're safer than takeoff and landing. Those are actually the more people say they're scared of flying.
Yeah.
Things to really be scared of flying are like the takeoffs and the landings.
Yeah.
That's what I'm always afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
bless
why?
you.
Sorry, excuse me. Why is that?
It's just
Let's enhance my fear.
I
right
feel like
now.
I'm not like the right person to speak on aero design. But it's I from what I'm aware of, and again I'm still learning, it has more to do with stalling the airplane. And when you have your airfoils or the wings of the plane, in order to fly, there has to be a positive pressure on the bottom side and then a negative on the top, and that's what keeps you above the ground. And when you stall, it's when you don't have that pressure, so the plane falls. So if you're taking off and the plane stalls, it's going to fall down because you're not you don't have the pressure under the wings. And when
Ooh.
you're falling, you can't get that again. And then same when you're landing.
Great.
Versus if you're in the air,
are you happy you have
even
I don't
if you're
know why I
falling, you
asked that
recover.
question.
There's no way I had the 2 propellers. It was just the one.
You
in
could have.
front. I don't know. Sorry, my brain. This is my brain now, and I'm like, what did I? And you're scared the shit out of her, though. By the way, she's already scared of flying,
Yeah,
and now
I
she's gonna be
hate it.
thinking like the
You're
fucking
fine.
positive and the negative.
I'm like,
I
did
think
it
there's more
catch
car
did it
accidents
catch
than-
the thing? I know. I know.
Did
But
it
at
catch the
least
thing?
you're on the ground.
For
What?
cars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, I don't love the idea of like free falling from
Well,
the air.
again, takeoff and landing. The chances of that happening in air are like slim to none.
Right. So you're going to be close to the ground anyway.
Well, even if like you're like in flight, like if something were to, like, it's just so hard to just randomly fall out of the sky. Like it's just like that's not really
well, they say
possible.
dying in a car, obviously.
This is cozy.
This was a
This
great
is
conversation,
really
you guys.
cozy, guys.
This
I'm
is
feeling
uplifting.
great.
You know, people driving to work in the morning.
That's-
wanna
they are.
feel
They're
good.
driving. You guys
They're
are
sitting
safe
on
on
an
the
airplane
ground.
about to take
Yeah.
off as we're talking about this right now.
Oh my God.
Go ask to fly the plane.
Oh, I just got anxiety thinking if I was listening to this about to do
I would
either.
turn it off. I would turn it off.
You'd be like, fuck these guys.
It's
Yeah.
sorry, just remember I only have 8 hours and I don't know what I'm talking about. So
You're like, find comfort in that.
yeah, fine,
And
comfort.
we'll leave the
I'm not
driving.
a professional. in
We'll
that
leave the
space.
driving statistics alone.
Let's go back to talking about feet. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, let's bring it full circle. We're back
I'll
to
soon
feet,
get DMs
cozy,
for
Yeah.
flying barefoot. Yeah.
Flying
100%.
barefoot. Would
You're
you
gonna
do
get
that?
there.
Come
No,
on.
no.
You're not doing any of it.
I mean, I might fly barefoot,
Barefoot.
but I would never record it or like
No.
send people videos.
I
of
can
it.
just, that's so cool. Just like, yeah, just so comfortable flying a plane with a fly barefoot.
Do you ever drive barefoot?
No.
Do you?
No.
No.
I
It
don't.
doesn't feel,
I like having the flat
comfortable.
surface.
you know, I never learned how to drive stick shift.
Me neither.
Well, the cars are they make them so easy nowadays to drive stick.
Do they?
The ones that they build, like
Yeah.
manual, like
Mhm.
the new ones.
Yeah, they make
Mm.
them so easy.
Well,
did
that's
we
comforting.
ask what your ultimate dream car is?
No. It's a Ferrari F40.
Mm.
Okay.
It's like an older Ferrari. It was the last one that Enzo himself built. Technically, the F50 he designed, but he wasn't alive for it when it came out. But the F40 is like my dream car. It was like a Group B rally car, which was like an old style of racing that was super dangerous, but so cool. That's my favorite car. It's
What
only
year
a
would
couple
that be?
$1 million, 90s.
It's 90s.
Yeah.
Couple million. Oh my God. Isn't that so, it's so crazy to me. The cars are that much money.
It's insane.
It's a house.
Yeah.
It's a few houses.
A couple houses.
Yeah.
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 Depends where you live.
Yeah,
Depends where you
depends on
live.
where you live.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I think your whole story, everything is so fascinating. And to hear you speak about everything so eloquently and openly is awesome. I think everything you're doing is so cool and inspirational with all
Thank
of
you.
it. So I want to thank you for bringing it
Oh,
to the world.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah.
I
this was-
appreciate it. And let me take my shoes off with a comfy blankie.
Yeah.
Of course. So we aim to get cozy at all costs around here. Not with our conversation about planes and falling out of
Or
the sky
anything.
or anything ever. But we do it while being cozy anyway.
Yeah. We talk about some real uncomfortable shit while putting a blanket on you.
While in a sleeping bag. That's our tagline.
Yes.
Yeah. But thanks. And then
Well,
Car
thank you so
Stories,
much.
your podcast, super awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Can't wait
appreciate
to
you bringing that
listen.
up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sounds, instantly. I was like, oh my God, Ghetto Superstars playing in my mind. It's like,
Yeah.
so fun. But thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very fitting that Amelia's our guest because I was just in Vegas for 5 days
That's true.
watching some races.
How was that?
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It was a very long and exhausting trip.
Was there joy in it at all?
Yeah, it was fun. And it was cool to see the scale of it. Lots of good food.
That's all that matters.
You were with Roy Choi.
I was with Roy Choi.
Our
Yeah.
favorite.
He snuck us into his restaurant.
Why do you have to sneak you in?
Um,
Why couldn't you walk in?
was last minute and it was race weekend. So there's a lot of people there.
You mean he
you
got
mean you're
you
special.
in. He didn't sneak you in.
Yeah, he got us a reservation.
Like you didn't have to go in the back door.
An hour before we didn't have to go in the back door.
Did you have to put a jacket over your face as you walked in?
Yeah.
I'm jealous. See, I want to go to Roy Choi's restaurant.
It was so good.
Let's go.
It's in Vegas.
It's in Vegas.
You have the inn. Can you get us in?
Yeah.
You guys, okay, something I want to talk about.
Okay,
it was just Thanksgiving. And my niece was really sick for the first time. She's 5 months old. She got her first sickness. And this is a question for you guys, okay? Because I know there's like people of the mind, like kids need to get sick, blah, 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 Or the people that are like, if you have a kid that's fucking sick, don't bring it around my baby, right? There's like different mentalities.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to know where you guys lie in that.
Where do you think I lie in that?
The audience might not know, Olivia.
Someone's sick, don't bring them around.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that think, oh, it's just a cold.
It's just a cold.
Like, no big deal. They're at school, kids are at school, they're going to be around. But when it's a baby, I would definitely never bring a sick kid to a baby's house.
Right.
Ever.
If there's a kid under a year, right? Is that what we're saying? Under a year, we're going a baby, or under 2?
There's not much you can do for a baby under 6 months old. Am I right?
What do you mean do for?
Like Tylenol? I was wondering.
No.
Right? Is that right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I had to read it. Don't quote me on it, but I thought maybe. But yeah, so like
I hope everyone quotes you on that.
Thanks, Rob. So, they had friends come over, and I guess my mom was there at the time, and then like when she was leaving, she heard like the kid that was there like had a bad cough, and she was like, "What?" Like,
no. I mean, but there are some times, like for instance, our friends invited us over not that long ago, and they weren't having any kids over. But they were like, Elliot and Shepherd can come, but could you just be mindful if they have any sort of viruses or whatever, not to come because our kids have to go do something, right? And be healthy for it.
There's a little bit of due diligence you have to do as a parent of an infant. Like during COVID times, like when Vincent was born, like people around him had to wear masks for the first like 6 months.
Mm-hmm. Right. But even if it's not a baby, like in this case, these weren't babies that we could potentially get sick, but we were like, for us, we're like, of course, we're not going to bring our sick kids over to your house. However, we're like, heads up though, when Shepherd gets a cold, we're talking 3 weeks later, he'll still be coughing from that cold. So he could still have a cough. A lot of kids could still have a cough 3 weeks out. They're not contagious anymore. So I think that if I was going to bring a sick kid if I was going to bring a kid that still had a cough, I'd be like, just so you know, he was sick 3 weeks ago, still has a cough that lingers. Are you comfortable with that?
So supposedly the mom said, oh, he's been sick for like a couple weeks, like this was a couple weeks old or something,
Yeah.
But he was still all over the baby and like coughing and stuff.
Oh, I would definitely keep him away from the baby.
Yeah, but they didn't keep him away from the baby. So like that's
you keep him away from
all
the
of
baby.
them.
Wait, so the baby has RSV now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other kid...
We don't know.
I don't know.
The other kid.
We don't know.
At this point that that's where it came from.
We're assuming because a young kid came over and had a gnarly cough. So
yeah,
you would assume and was like around the baby. The baby doesn't really go anywhere.
So for Courtney, I think she might need to start doing what my friends did when they invited us over. Just like, hey, if your kids have anything.
What about if it's just kids our age?
Yeah.
Are we kids?
No, our kids around Calvin and Briar and Elliot's age.
Older.
Like a cold.
It's not a big deal.
You're not really
But
flagging.
for Olivia, it is because of Shepherd. But
I still heads up people. If
sniffles.
I was still heads up.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it when people do that to us. Obviously, I'm more protective because of Shepherd's lung issues. But if we were going to go play with someone, I would say heads up, Elliot's got sniffles if you want to meet somewhere outside, if that makes you feel more comfortable, if you don't. But I would never bring a sniffling, even if it's just a cold, Elliot over here without getting permission.
Right.
Or checking.
How do you handle that though? Because what if you are a little uncomfortable, but you also don't want to be that person?
What do you mean?
She's asking for advice. She's like, I want to be that person, but I'm not sure how to be that person.
What do you mean? Which person?
So you're bringing Elliot over with a cold. You warn her.
Yeah.
And she wants to be like, nah, keep him away. How do you handle that?
Well, it depends on, I think that you just are honest.
Right? Was that accurate?
Well, yeah, like if you're like, I really don't want to deal with a cold, but then
it's too awkward to say.
I also don't want to be that person that's like, don't come over with a cold because it's just a cold. You know what I mean?
It depends. If you really don't want to deal with a cold, I would say that. I'd be like, I don't want to be that person.
Yes, but obviously, I mean people that aren't like you're this, right? Like,
yeah, you say, I hate to be that person.
Can I just tell you why it's harder for? I'm not going to say harder for me. It's hard for any parent to deal with a sick kid, but it's just me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Someone gets sick.
You know, and so if she goes down and then I go down, it's like just us, right? So it does create an extra level of like, oh, fuck.
Well, I think there's only so much you can do having a kid at school. They're going to be exposed to all of that anyway.
All the time.
But you can limit having a sick kid in your house knowing they have a cold.
Right.
That's a sure
I've
way
definitely like eased up on like the colds of the world because it's like.
Well, we all lived through COVID.
Right.
And if we were like, that extreme about everything, we'd all just be inside all the time.
Right.
We've had to kind of give in that it's out of our control a bit.
Right.
And we usually say yes to like say we were going to meet your family and you're like, heads up, Vincent has a little cold. We'd probably still go.
Go to the park.
Exactly. Like Jeff would be like, we're going. I don't care. It's cold. But I would feel better having had the option than just showing up and being like, oh, cool, your kids are sick.
Well, it's because like if you're going to go see your 98-year-old grandma the next day, maybe you wouldn't come. But
exactly.
It's just, having awareness.
Having awareness.
I have a question or story.
Jesus.
I don't know. This is a good one.
Okay, what?
This was Calvin's soccer practice.
Oh, okay.
I sent you guys the video of it.
Yes.
So there was, Calvin scored a goal in his soccer practice. And there's this kid on the other team that gets really angry.
Practice or a game?
It's like a training course that they do drills and then they do a little scrimmage at the end.
Okay.
Scrimmage,
so the game at the end, Calvin scores a goal. This kid gets mad and pushes someone else on the other on Calvin's team. He just gets like
because Calvin scored.
Because his team was scored on. He gets really upset. And pushes this other kid. And the mom of the other kid starts like yelling, and then they like pull him out, and the coach and the dad are talking. Calvin then scores another goal, and he's just like fuming from the sideline as they're talking. And then balls in again. Calvin's like on a breakaway about to score another goal. This kid comes flying, like runs away from the dad and the coach, and just kicks Calvin in the thigh. Like scrapes up his leg, knocks him over.
He had cleats on.
He's wearing cleats.
On.
Just takes him out. And then
what happened?
I mean, Calvin was hurt, but
did Calvin like say anything? Did he cry? Did you run over?
I didn't run over. I was kind of letting it play out. I was watching all this happen, and the dad and coach were like kind of already intervening. And this program, they don't like the parents to get too involved, anyways. Like it's meant to be.
Sure.
There's like 4 or 5 coaches too that are doing it.
That's an excessive amount of coaches.
That's very excessive.
Yeah. And, I mean, he was hurt. That was mostly what happened was he couldn't really run as well because it was, I think, stinging. He had like a big scrape up his thigh.
That's horrible.
And then afterwards, I like asked him about it in the car, and he's like, yeah, that guy's crazy. I don't know why. I don't know why he was getting that mad, but
that guy's crazy.
Well, that's accurate.
Yeah, and I'm glad he wasn't pissed. He didn't like get up and shove him or anything. And I was taking video as it happened too, and the dad like swoops in and grabs the kid again because he escaped.
He escaped.
Yeah.
That's
but
it
was wild.
Deathmatch stuff.
I feel like he handled that really well, though. That's a really well-adjusted way to look at it. Like, ooh.
Like, it's not him. Nothing he did.
Yeah.
He was like, that guy's
like,
clearly
I was just, like,
unhinged.
You know?
That kid's taking it too serious.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's good, little cow.
Yeah. But then it also made me
What did you say?
I didn't. I was just like, yeah, you didn't do anything there. Like, he is taking it too seriously.
Right.
Made me feel bad for the kid, though, as well. Because I took a video. I had a video of all 3 incidents. And like the end of the second goal, you can see him just yelling. He's like crying and screaming at Calvin.
Oh, he
And
did
Calvin,
not
I don't
like
even.
it. No.
Calvin's just like oblivious and like, yeah, I just got a goal, and he's going to run back, and then yeah, that happened.
That kid has some stuff going on, I think.
It does make me wonder, like, where this kid's learning it. Is it something that is learned behavior? Is it something he was just born with?
I don't think we'll have any information on that unless you knew the people more, because there's things that my kids do, that Shepherd in particular, that I'm like, that was never modeled to him. Like that is a regulation issue, or that's, sometimes kids have sensory issues, or they have, different regulation issues, and they don't have the same nervous system as the rest of us. So
Right.
it could be that. It could be that the dad rages every day. We don't know, but I think it's more important to look at how do we deal with our children in those circumstances in response to that. Because there's always going to be those kids where you're like, and I've been the mom where someone's freaking side-eyeing me at See's Candy, like, do something about your kid. And you're just like, lady, if I could, I fucking would,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That must be hard.
It's so hard. It makes me want to nunchuck people.
Yeah. It just goes to show you don't ever know.
You don't ever know. Mm-mm.
On a lighter note, it's not lighter. Speaking of soccer.
Yep.
Briar had her last game of the season. They lost every single game.
Is it just, it's games or practices?
No, it's games. She's
It's
now
games.
in 10U, so it's actual games.
Are they good, or is it? Oh, well, clearly they're
clearly
not
not
good.
good.
But
They were last in their division.
is it like organized? Is it just 20 kids on the field running after the ball?
No, this
they
is
have a
actual positions now.
coach. Yeah.
Last year, yes, but this year it's actual coach and positions and whatnot. And the girls tried so hard.
Good for them.
They were just so bad. I mean, that's why we did the program.
Yeah.
Because like having a 6-year-old play games is
Yeah.
No.
No,
not fun for
but then they
anyone.
don't keep score before. This year was the first year they do. And it was our last game and we were up 1-0. Then we were tied. Then it was really, the girls, they tried so hard. They lost every
I can't. That's
single
like Ted Lasso.
game.
But here's the thing. It's good. That's why I think that it's good for them. Is because I think kids need to learn that. They need to learn.
But they did. At least they scored in their last game. I'm
Was
like,
that
at
the
least you
first-
guys scored a goal. And Briar's little friend Noah, she's like, but we didn't win. I was like,
Is that the first goal of the season too?
no. Briar scored a goal this season.
Good.
Oh, the look on their face when it's the best in the world. They feel so like just,
But yeah, Calvin's always like scanning to make sure I'm watching after he scores his goal.
Of course.
And then just like proudly runs back.
Aw, it's very sweet. But yeah.
I finally finished watching the Beckham documentary.
They talk about he's had affairs. Like he talks about it openly.
They allude to it, right? I haven't.
So I guess they allude to it, and I don't know.
Do you think any successful marriage, when you're like that couple, that infidelity is inevitable and they just work through it?
No.
I don't think it's inevitable.
I don't think it's inevitable.
Some of those
fine, but you know what I mean.
I would imagine some of those relationships, that's like part of the rules.
I think
like that's allowed.
I think
like
the traveling, even if you're not a celebrity, I think any job that makes you travel that much and be away from your partner so much, I think lends itself to higher risks.
And
of
you look like
infidelity.
David Beckham.
I mean, he's a god. He's literally a god. So
he's figuratively a god.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. I find them to be a success.
Yeah.
All right. This is a good question based on what we just talked about.
Okay.
Is it normal to be frustrated at my girlfriend because she wants to close our open relationship? My girlfriend and I have been together for 9 years. We are both each other's first companions. A year into our relationship, she expressed her desire for an open relationship, explaining that she didn't want to regret ever only having had sex with one partner. and that love and sex are two different things, and that you can be attracted to one person without it changing your love for the one you love. I agreed with his reasoning and so accepted his proposal. Anyways, it turns out that during these 8 years as a free couple, she's had the opportunity to have fun elsewhere many, many, many times. As for me, it's been a total desert. Not even the slightest flirt or kiss. I knew it was more complicated for men than for women. I had no idea it would be this hard. But against all odds, over the past month, I've become very close with a friend who's also in an open relationship.
Uh-oh.
And I think there's a serious way of going further with her. But
Uh-oh.
yesterday, my girlfriend announced that she wanted to close our open relationship.
She
That we're going
announced
back.
it.
That we're going back to an exclusive relationship because we've had a lot of fun, but we've got to go think about the future now and getting married and having kids. Can't go on like this forever. And since we've agreed that each of us could close the relationship whenever we wished, I had no choice but to say yes. And so we are exclusive again since yesterday. She obviously is unaware of my reapproachment with this friend, nor of the fact that for me, these years have been a desert in terms of sexuality because the rule was everyone does their own thing without telling the other. I contacted this friend today to tell her about the situation and the fact that now it's better to cut contact, and she accepted. So here I am today in an extremely depressing situation, and I can't help feeling frustrated against her. I know she hasn't done anything wrong, but to think that for years she's been having fun, and when it's finally my turn, it's suddenly over and too late. It frustrates me.
She 100% checked his phone, saw that he was getting really close and an emotional connection, and she decided to pull the plug on the open relationship.
Well, that's kind of against the open relationship rules too. Like,
yeah, but
I don't think it's fair. Why does
she
she
doesn't
get
know.
to
Well, she
run
also
the whole
doesn't
show?
know that he hasn't been
Yeah.
sleeping with people the whole time.
right, there's a few things to unpack here.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like when Jeff decided he wanted to move to Roseville. I
And
was
have
like,
an open relationship.
no. I was like, okay, that's your choice. The next choice is mine.
Yeah.
Right? So then I choose LA. If he were to be like, now it's Texas, I'd be like, no, it's my choice now. Right?
Mhm.
So it's the same.
This is back and forth. That's your rule?
Yeah.
Not a joint decision?
The joint decision was if you take that, I get the next. So I think that if you're going to have an open relationship and you say, hey, I want an open relationship, and the person goes against what they really want, but they're doing it for you, that when it's time to close it, you give them the opportunity to have their say now. Because you're the one who...
I mean, maybe he picked where they went for lunch and now it's her turn.
No, you get your say on the relationship. I think if he wants to keep it open, he should get to keep it open because he was willing to have it open for her. Now she needs to be willing to have it open for him.
Yeah, but also the fact that it's a close friend.
Yeah, no, it's danger zone. Personally.
That's not just because
he's depressed because he was actually connecting, like emotionally connecting and wanting to explore.
Yeah, and falling in love with this other.
Yeah, but that's her fault.
Right. No, I know. You're right.
Sure, but isn't the
he
point...
needs to voice how he's feeling.
Right.
That's the communication is the issue. They're not communicating. He's not communicating to her.
Yeah. But
how do you say, wait?
You're saying aren't the rules non-emotional?
Aren't the rules, but
it's impossible.
But the point of an open relationship, isn't it that you're finding the relationship and love aspect here, and then you're having the sexual fun aspect elsewhere. That's how he phrased it as well. So the fact that he is falling for this other person that he's friends with is also maybe problematic.
Sure, but the thing is that for some, it's not a one size fits all approach. Some people, like he said, it's really easy for her as a woman to just go out there and get sex, right? But as a man, he may be the kind of man that it takes a little bit more effort and connection to get to that level with someone. And so for him, that's part of having sex.
He's got to fall in love with them first.
Apparently.
He might need to connect with them.
Well, I'm sorry. They said that they've been in a 9-year relationship. And after a year, they decided an open relationship. So for 8 years, he didn't get other action.
I'd let him have it.
I think it's a fair point for him. I think it's a fair point for him to be like, yeah, you had fun and I didn't. You had this element satiated and
It's so
he was
sticky.
not.
Their situation's so sticky.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was him, I'd be like, it's my turn, lady.
But it's my turn with this girl that I'm developing
but
feelings for, that she probably knows if it's their friend or his friend.
Yeah.
But we don't know what the girl did. We don't know who she was having fun with.
What if she didn't either?
She was with the other partner.
8 years is a long time.
Open relationships are a tricky concept for me, but I know people that can do it successfully. But I find it hard to put those parameters on, like, you're allowed to have sex, but no feelings. Like,
you can't control that,
how do you
though.
control that?
Yeah.
Trust me, I've tried to control that. You know? Like, that's
how did you control that, Rachel?
Yeah.
What?
How did you
Your open
master sex
relationship,
with no
yeah.
feelings?
Well, guys, since I have you here.
I just don't think it's that easy for certain people. For some people, it is.
Right.
Right, which maybe the people that's not easy for, open relationships aren't for them.
Right. Maybe it's not a viable option for them. Would you be in an open relationship?
No, I don't think so.
Would you?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Really walking that back.
No, it's hard for me to say because I'm not,
Right, it's totally dependent on
Yes, also,
situation.
me as a person, I know that if I'm in love with someone, I don't want to share them with other people.
But if David Beckham texted you and was like...
he's never, listen, I think he's a beautiful man, but that's not who does it.
You haven't watched the documentary.
Fair.
All right, if
Who?
Brad Pitt texts you and is like, who am I picking here?
I
That
don't know. I don't
texts
think I
you
have
and
any.
is like, we can be in a relationship, but I can't be
I
faithful.
don't think I have any celebrity crushes.
Barack Obama texts you?
Could you do it though? If they didn't need to be open.
If they didn't need to be open, but go
you
ahead.
can go do whatever you want.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
I prefer an emotional connection to someone if I'm going to sleep with them. That being said,
that is a problem.
Well, no.
That's
it's a major problem. No.
It's pretty fucked up, Rachel.
Weird.
No, so if they were like, you can have an open, I would only be doing that if I had feelings for someone else and then everything's fucked to begin with because that's an emotional affair and you know how I feel about that.
And that's kind of what I'm saying about this guy. It seems maybe cutting that one off. If it's a weekend away and he's in an open relationship and that seems to be the lane that makes sense for that. Because a one night stand at a bar.
Yeah, but what if I don't know. It's tricky for me. I feel like it's almost like sobriety. It's like once you put that line in the sand and then you move it.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think, I'm not an open relationship type of person.
Do you think that they can work successfully?
With certain people?
Have you ever seen one work?
No, not firsthand, but I will say this, and I have vocalized this before. I think as I've gotten older, I noticed that you don't need someone 24/7, 7 days a week, in a relationship. Time apart, stuff like that doesn't bother me it used to. Do you know what I mean? And I know I've said that before because I know people that the husband, has to go work for 2 months and then comes back for 2 months and they have a beautiful marriage. And I've always looked up to their relationship, how well it works and they're not together all the time. And so it's kind of changed my perspective. So I have kind of been and especially for myself who, I've been a single mom for a long time, whatever, I can also see how that could fit to not be day in, day out traditional for me personally.
Yeah. I mean, it's good not to put all of your relationship needs onto one person.
Mm-hmm.
And spread it out with your friends. And
I never thought I could be, because I was always very wanting the person
all in
all the time. Da, da, da. And then as time has gone on and I've gotten older, I've just kind of realized you know what?
I don't like people that much.
I don't like people. No, I've just realized that every situation can be kind of different and different things work for different people.
I think that's also maturity, though.
Yeah,
I think as you mature,
getting older,
you're not as needy.
Right.
You're just
that's
good.
a big part of it. And when you're younger, you're way more needy. Or even more jealous or insecure or whatever.
All of it.
You
care.
you actually care. And then you get older and you're like, I don't give a fuck.
You're like, what? I just want to do my
No,
thing.
but you just want someone. Look, you want to trust someone. You want to have love. You want to have all these things, but you don't. All the little things that you thought you needed when you were younger, it's not what you need in like a real loving relationship.
I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah. Separate bedrooms. I'm
advocating
for.
I know. But it's like you understand things as you get older in a different way.
Yeah.
Yep. Well,
that should be a Hallmark card.
That note.
On that note,
let's go eat some tacos.
Let's go eat some tacos. Bye.